You're holding one of the world's oldest books. Pages written over 1,000 years ago, word by word, letter by letter, by monks who dedicated their entire lives to preserving God's Word. And suddenly, boom! Everything turns to ash in seconds. Today, you're going to discover how humanity lost millions of Bibles and sacred manuscripts throughout history. Treasures we can never recover. And the worst part, some of these tragedies could have been prevented.
Hello, Bible Backstage family. Before we dive into today's mind-blowing story, I need you to do something for me. If you've never been here before, hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to show you will change how you see every Bible on your shelf forever. But before we understand what we lost, I need to tell you how Bibles were made in ancient times. No printing press, no photocopies. Each book was a unique work of art. Monks spent years, sometimes decades, copying a single manuscript. They used animal skin parchment, handmade inks, and decorated pages with real gold. A single Bible could cost the equivalent of a house today. So when these treasures were destroyed, it wasn't just paper burning. It was millennial knowledge, irreplaceable art, and most importantly, the only copy that existed of many sacred texts.
The first great tragedy, Alexandria. Our first stop is Alexandria, Egypt, 4th century. The most famous library in antiquity didn't just store books, it was the knowledge center of the known world. There were the first Greek translations of the Bible, manuscripts that came directly from the apostles, texts we would consider priceless today. But Alexandria suffered several fires over the centuries. The most devastating? When fanatical Christians, led by Bishop Theophilus in 391 AD, attacked the library for considering it a symbol of paganism. Ironic, right? Christians destroying Bibles for religious reasons. Result? Unique New Testament manuscripts, translations that could help us better understand the original texts, all turned to smoke. Scholars estimate that over 400,000 scrolls were lost, including biblical commentaries by early church fathers that could have answered theological questions we're still debating today.
The Protestant Reformation, monastery chaos. Now let's go to England, 16th century. Henry VIII had a little problem. The Pope wouldn't annul his marriage. Solution? Create his own church and close every Catholic monastery in the country. Between 1536 and 1541, over 800 monasteries were dissolved. And guess where England's largest collections of handwritten Bibles were kept? The king's soldiers weren't interested in preserving culture. They wanted gold, silver, land. The books? They were seen as Catholic trash. Eyewitnesses from the time report surreal scenes, entire libraries being used as firewood, illuminated manuscripts serving to wrap food at the market. One chronicler wrote, "I saw sacred parchments being sold for pennies to butchers to wrap meat." At Glastonbury Abbey alone, one of England's richest, an estimated 3,000 handwritten works were lost, including Bibles dating back to the 7th century. What makes this even more tragic? Many of these manuscripts contained Anglo-Saxon translations of biblical texts that were unique to British Christianity, gone forever.
The acts of faith when the church burned Bibles. Now, get ready for the most ironic part of this story. The Catholic Church itself, in the name of faith purity, burned thousands of Bibles. During the Spanish Inquisition, between the 15th and 18th centuries, any Bible translated into local languages was considered heresy. Only the Latin version was accepted. The famous autos de fe were public spectacles where heretical books were burned in packed squares. In 1559, in Valladolid, over 40,000 books went up in flames in a single day, many of them Bibles in Spanish and Portuguese. The irony is cruel. People dedicated their lives to translating God's Word so common people could understand it, and they were burned alive along with their books. William Tyndale, who translated the Bible into English, was strangled and burned in 1536. Almost all of his original translations were destroyed. Only 3 complete copies of his first edition exist worldwide. Think about this. Tyndale's phrase, "Let there be light," from Genesis? That's his translation. But we almost lost it forever to the flames.
Nazi fury, books as enemies. 1933, Berlin. University students marched through the streets carrying books to a giant bonfire. Among them, hundreds of Bibles from Jewish communities. The Nazis didn't just destroy books for being Jewish, they attacked anything that represented diversity of thought. Hebrew Bibles, Aramaic texts, even Christian versions they considered impure. But the greatest tragedy came later. During World War II, Allied bombing destroyed entire libraries in Germany. In Dresden, 1945, a library with over 200,000 volumes, including unique medieval biblical manuscripts, was completely annihilated. The Hanover National Archive, which housed 9th century biblical manuscripts, turned to dust in a single night. Over 1,000 years of knowledge lost in a few hours. Jewish communities across Europe had their own handwritten Torah scrolls, some dating back centuries, passed down through generations. Most were destroyed in the Holocaust. Entire traditions of biblical interpretation gone forever. Natural disasters, when nature strikes. But men weren't always the villains in this story. Nature also took its toll. 1755, Lisbon. An earthquake followed by a tsunami devastated the city. The Torre do Tombo archive, which housed unique biblical manuscripts from the 12th and 13th centuries, was completely destroyed. 1624, a fire at the El Escorial monastery in Spain destroyed over 5,000 manuscripts, many of them Arabic and Hebrew Bibles that were the only existing copies in the world. And in 1966, the Arno River flood in Florence irreparably damaged hundreds of medieval codices at the National Library. Some 11th century Bibles simply dissolved in the mud. What we lost versus what we still have. So, what exactly did we lose with all these tragedies? Experts estimate that 90% of all biblical manuscripts produced before the 15th century were destroyed. 90%! That means millions of pages, unique translations, medieval scholar commentaries. We lost entire gospel versions in languages that are now extinct. Commentary from saints that could give us unique insights into early Christianity. Translations that could resolve modern theological debates. But not everything is lost. We still have the Codex Vaticanus from the 4th century, the Codex Sinaiticus found at Mount Sinai, the Dead Sea Scrolls discovered in 1947, and modern technology is helping us recover texts we thought were lost forever. High-resolution imaging is revealing erased texts on reused parchments. It's like the dead are coming back to life. The next time you pick up a Bible from your shelf, remember this story. You're holding a book that survived fires, wars, fanatics, and natural disasters. Every word you read passed through a preservation miracle that lasted over 2,000 years.
people died so these words could reach you. And today we have millions of copies, digital versions, translations in hundreds of languages. Never in human history has the Bible been so safe and accessible. But here's the question that should keep us awake at night. If we are the guardians of these words for the next generations, what are we doing to protect them? Bible Backstage family, if this story shocked you as much as it shocked me, smash that like button right now. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're uncovering Bible secrets that will blow your mind every single week. And drop a comment. Which lost biblical text would you most want scientists to recover? I read every single comment, and your ideas shape our next episodes. Until next time, keep digging deeper into the Bible Backstage.